Force yourself to be consistent. Consistency. It's the quiet force that separates people who wish from people who achieve. It's the difference between dreams that fade away and dreams that eventually take form in real life. And in this world, where motivation rises and falls like the waves of the ocean, consistency becomes the anchor, steady, unmoving, always bringing you back to your purpose. Today, we're talking about something that Jim Rohn himself believed was one of the greatest disciplines of successful life: the ability to make yourself do what you know you should do, even when you don't feel like doing it. Because here's the truth. Your problem is not that you lack motivation. Your problem is that you lack consistency. And that problem is universal. Everyone feels inspired at the beginning. Everyone feels excited on day one. But consistency? That's the rare skill. That's the mountain only a few are willing to climb. And yet, it is the one thing that unlocks your full potential. So today, let's break it down. Let's understand why consistency matters more than talent, more than intelligence, more than the strongest burst of motivation. Let's talk about the principles that help you stay committed, the mental shifts that keep you moving, and the systems that turn effort into results. Let's start with the foundation. 1. Consistency, the key to unlocking your full potential. Every great achievement, whether it's building a business, mastering craft, transforming your body, or improving your life, comes from the same source: repeated action over time with discipline, not intensity, not hype, not passion alone, but consistent daily effort. Jim Rohn often said, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. And the opposite is also true. Failure is a few errors in judgment repeated every day. Consistency is not glamorous. It's not flashy. It's not something that gets applause. But it is absolutely necessary. Think about this. How many people do you know who are talented, naturally smart, naturally gifted, naturally capable, but never truly succeed? And how many people do you know who started with nothing, no special skills, no advantages, but through steady effort, they built something incredible? This is the power of consistency. It is the great equalizer. It levels the playing field. It allows ordinary people to achieve extraordinary results. But here's the part many people forget. Consistency is hard, not because the actions are hard, but because the discipline is hard, because the mind resists routine, because your emotions fluctuate, because your environment distracts you. That's why building consistency is not about waiting for motivation. It's about learning to force yourself to follow through. Not once, not twice, but again and again and again until it becomes part of who you are. And that leads us to the heart of consistency, the thing that keeps you going long after the excitement fades. 2. Your why, the emotional fuel behind discipline. The number one reason people quit is because they never had a strong enough reason to keep going in the first place. They start a goal because it sounds good, because other people are doing it, because they feel inspired for a moment. But when obstacles show up, and they always do, motivation evaporates. Jim Rohn said, when the promise is clear, the price is easy. Your why is that promise. If you want to be consistent, you need a reason strong enough to carry you through boredom, through discomfort, through setbacks, through the days when you want to give up. Ask yourself, why do you want to change your life? Why do you want to be healthier? Why do you want financial freedom? Why do you want success? Why does this goal matter? Your reason can't be shallow. It must be emotional, deep, personal. Maybe your why is to break a generational cycle. Maybe it's to provide a better life for your children. Maybe it's to prove to yourself that you are capable of more. Maybe it's to stop living in regret. Maybe it's to reclaim your self-respect. When your why burns strong enough, consistency becomes easier, not automatic, but easier, because you're no longer relying on motivation. You're relying on purpose. Purpose gives discipline meaning, and discipline gives success direction. But purpose alone isn't enough. You can still fall off track. That's why the next principle matters just as much. 3. Accountability, the power of being held responsible. One of Jim Rohn's most powerful teachings is simple. You rise higher when people expect more from you. When you keep your goals private, you also keep your excuses private. You give yourself permission to break promises because no one else will notice. But when you share your goals with someone who genuinely wants the best for you, a friend, a mentor, a coach, a community, you create external pressure, positive pressure, the kind that pushes you to follow through. Accountability removes your ability to hide behind excuses. You show up because someone else is watching. You follow through because you don't want to disappoint them, and more importantly, yourself. You stay consistent because you're no longer doing it alone. Now, accountability doesn't mean someone controls your life. It means someone supports your progress. It means you have someone who reminds you of the person you're trying to become. And here's the beautiful part. Accountability builds confidence, because the more you follow through, the more you prove to yourself that you are reliable, that you are capable, that you can trust yourself to do what you said you would do. But even with a strong why and strong accountability, something else must be in place. A system. Build systems, not just goals. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. A goal is a direction. A system is the map. Without the map, the journey becomes chaotic, inconsistent, and exhausting. A system is a schedule you follow, a routine you repeat, a structure that makes success easier, a plan that removes unnecessary decisions. Because the real enemy of consistency is not laziness, it's chaos. It's unpredictability. It's waking up every day not knowing exactly what to do. When your actions rely on willpower, you lose. When they rely on a system, you win. For example, want to get fit? Schedule your workouts at the same time every day. Want to save money? Automate your savings so you remove the choice. Want to grow a business? Block specific hours for deep work. Want to improve your mindset? Set a daily reading or journaling routine. Systems protect you from your own emotions. They remove the negotiation. They turn effort into habit. And speaking of habits, 5, start small, make the habit easy. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that consistency requires extreme effort. It doesn't. Consistency requires small, repeatable actions. Jim Rohn said, "Success is doing ordinary things extraordinarily well, not massive things. Ordinary things. If the habit is too big, you won't sustain it. If the habit is too demanding, you'll quit. If the habit feels overwhelming, you'll procrastinate. So start small. Start simple. Start with actions you can repeat daily. Read for 5 minutes. Exercise for 10 minutes. Save a small amount. Learn a new skill for a few minutes each day. The point is not to impress anyone. The point is to build momentum. Because tiny actions, done consistently, compound into massive outcomes. And here's another powerful strategy. Attach the new habit to one you already do. This is called habit stacking. You brush your teeth every morning. Add a 5-minute meditation. You drink coffee every day. Add reading 2 pages of a book. You commute daily. Add a podcast that grows your mind. By linking a new behavior to an existing routine, you make consistency easier. You make the habit automatic, not stressful. But even with small habits, even with strong systems, even with accountability, you will still face challenges. And this is where the battle for consistency gets real. 6, facing challenges, the temptation to quit. Everyone faces moments where quitting sounds easier than continuing. Everyone wakes up some days feeling tired, unmotivated, overwhelmed, or discouraged. Everyone encounters setbacks, failures, and obstacles. But this is exactly where consistency becomes powerful. This is where discipline grows. This is where you prove to yourself that you are not controlled by your emotions. Most people quit because they expect the journey to be smooth. But consistency requires you to move forward even when it isn't, to act without permission from your feelings, to take the next step, even if the last step didn't go well. And here's the truth. You don't become strong before the challenge. You become strong because of it. Every time you push through temptation, you train your mind. Every time you show up anyway, you strengthen your identity. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you build a life you can be proud of. Consistency isn't just about results. It's about transformation. It's about who you become. It's about building character. And that brings us to the final principle, one that multiplies your strength and gives you the support you need to keep going. 7. The power of community. You don't have to do this alone. Humans are not meant to grow in isolation. We thrive with support. We thrive with shared goals. We thrive when we surround ourselves with people who are also committed to becoming better. A community gives you encouragement on hard days, shared wisdom, emotional support, accountability, inspiration, momentum. When you walk alone, it's easy to doubt yourself. When you walk with others, your confidence grows. Jim Rohn famously said, "You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." If your environment is not supporting your goals, it will sabotage them. So surround yourself with people who strive for growth, value discipline, respect consistency, believe in improvement, encourage progress. Your community becomes your fuel, your reminder, and your reinforcement. And when you combine all of these, your why, accountability, small habits, structured systems, and the support of others, consistency becomes not just possible, but powerful. 8. Final message. Force yourself to be consistent. Consistency is not something that appears naturally. It's something you build. It's something you practice. It's something you fight for. And yes, sometimes you'll have to force yourself. Force yourself out of bed. Force yourself to start. Force yourself to keep marching. Force yourself to stick to the plan. Force yourself to honor your commitments. Because the life you want requires a stronger version of you, a more disciplined version, a more committed version, a more consistent version. And that version of you is built through repeated action, not one day of greatness, but 1,000 days of effort, not one big decision, but countless small ones, not momentary inspiration, but daily consistency. The journey will challenge you, but it will also transform you. So today, make the commitment to yourself, to your future, to your potential, to your purpose. Force yourself to be consistent and watch how your life changes. Watch how your confidence grows. Watch how opportunities appear. Watch how your potential unfolds. You have greatness within you, but consistency is a key that unlocks it. Now is your moment. Start today. Stay steady. Build discipline. Honor your promise. And become the person you were meant to become.